Hello again. Today we are going to speak about grammar, and we will review relative pronouns, relative adverbs, and relative clauses. First of all, let me remind you what relative pronouns and adverbs we've already talked about. So, as you remember, if we want to speak about people, we can use the word who or that. If we want to speak about things or objects, we can use the word which or that. If we want to show possession, we use the word whose. If we want to show the place of action, we use the word where. If we want to show the time of action, we can use the word when. And if we want to show the reason of action, we use the word why. Also, let me remind you that relative adverbs can be object or subject of the sentence. If they are subject of the sentence, for example, the photo that is on the table is the oldest one we have. In this sentence, we have the main clause, the photo is the oldest one we have. And we have relative clause, that is on the table. That is the subject of the sentence. We cannot omit it, otherwise we won't understand the sentence. Let us look at another example. There is the woman who I mentioned. In this case, there is the woman is the main clause, and who I mentioned is a relative clause. As you can see, in this clause we have subject I, predicate mentioned, and object who. Such objects can be omitted. We can say the sentence without it. For example, there is a woman I mentioned. Relative clauses can be defining and non-defining. So, what is the difference? Defining relative clause gives essential information about things or people. Without such clause, we won't understand the meaning of the sentence. For example, the photo that is on the table is the oldest one we have. The words that is on the table explain us what photo we are talking about. Without this clause, we won't understand the sentence. Non-defining relative clause gives extra information about things or people. We can understand the sentence without this extra information. For example, this is a photo of my parents who met in 1992. This relative clause, who met in 1992, gives extra information. We can understand the meaning of the sentence without this relative clause. So, usually we separate it from the main clause with a comma. Your task will be to do exercises 1 and 2 on page 158. Besides, go to page 66 in your student books. Here you have more practice on relative clauses. Do exercises 1. Your task is to decide whether these clauses are defining or non-defining and underline the relative clauses. Then in exercise 4, you have a text. Your task is to add a relative pronoun or adverb, for example, where, when, who, that, before each relative clause. If you can leave it out, don't forget to put the brackets around it. Also in exercise 5, your task is to rewrite the pairs of sentences using relative clauses. For example, I have a cousin the same age as me. She is really good fun. We can combine these two sentences into one using a relative clause. For example, I have a cousin the same age as me who is really good fun. In this case, it is non-defining relative clause. That is why we separate it with a comma. Then go to your workbooks, page 46. Here you have more exercises on relative clauses. Exercises 1, 2, 3, and 4. Do them in your books. Have fun.